Hey there, Veebat here with another V-Plays, and today we're going to be starting out in the hangar real quick. Usually I try not to do this too much because sitting here staring at stats isn't necessarily as riveting as some gameplay, but we're going to hop into some B-29 gameplay shortly. But I wanted to talk real quickly about where the B-29 falls in the overall hierarchy of the bombers. I have found quite a few times a lot of people are playing B-29s lately in order to unlock the Masha, because a lot of the Masha missions are going to be doing ground target damage and as well as taking things out with turrets, and the B-29 does pretty good at both of those. So I did hear a few people, at least maybe it was the same person repeating themselves, saying B-29s are ruining the game, and maybe it's just the saturation of them recently, but I wanted to take a quick look at whether or not the introduction of the B-29 actually breaks the status quo. So let's draw a quick comparison here of the guns and bombs. I think we can agree, looking at the stats just as a cursory glance, that the airspeed and the altitude performance for each aircraft going from tier 7 to tier 8 is going to incrementally improve nearly equally across the board for Soviets, German, as well as the Americans. But when it comes to the turret power and the bombs and rockets, that's where I think we really need to pay a lot more attention, because you're going to see some overlaps in trends between all these bombers. So let's start with bombs and rockets, because I found this to be incredibly interesting. That when you go from tier to tier, you can see the Tu-2 has an identical bomb load. Okay, now some of these may vary because I actually own most of these with the exception of the 288A, and they got cruise skills and stuff that are amping them up. But if they were clean, you would see Tu-2, Tu-10 equal bomb load. 288A and 288C equal bomb load. Same bombs, relatively similar reload time. Again, 288C's got equipment on it. B-32, nearly the same reload, as well as the exact same bomb capacity as the B-29. You're just moving up in tier. Now, the gunners, a lot of people look at the B-29 and they're like, man, the gunners are way too powerful compared to the B-32. And while I will say it does have an incredible damage per second that you have to contend with, if you look at the overall damage output from tier to tier, you're going to find that it's nearly double the firepower across the board. What do I mean by that? The Tu-2 in the upper hemisphere can get 2 guns on target. Same thing for the Tu-10, because it actually has one right behind the cockpit and then another one mid-body as a dorsal gunner. So if you get both of these 50 cal machine guns on target, you're looking at 72 for each, for a total of 144 damage per second. But if you compare that with the 20mm cannons on the Tu-10, you're looking at 240. So, you know, not quite double, but pretty close, and you're getting increased range because you're jumping from 50 cals to 20s. So let's go ahead and call it double, because you're going to get more time on target. 288A, again, I don't have this, so it's not upgraded, but you can only get one of these turrets on target at any given time. But when it's upgraded, it's a 13mm for a total of 120 damage per second, I believe. Yeah, I think it's like 128. It's the same as these turrets that are on the 288C. The 288C in the rear hemisphere, you can only get one of the 2 turrets, either the belly one or the dorsal one, on target. But you also get a 15mm cannon in the tail. So instead of being 128 damage per second on the target, you're going to get an added 112. Again, nearly doubling the overall damage output. B-32 to B-29, comparable, because you can only ever get 3 of the turrets on the B-32 on target all at one time. The 2 on the top and the 1 in the tail, again, getting something in the upper hemisphere is where a lot of the damage is going to come from. So at 96 damage each, let's, for easy math for Veebat here, let's say 100, you're looking at 300 damage per second coming out of a B-32. While a B-29, you can get the 2 top turrets and the tail gunner on target. However, the top front turret is actually a quad barreled set of 50 cals, which means that you're pumping out an extra 120 damage per second, which is going to equate to 240, plus 240 on the tail gunner, or on the other dorsal gunner, which just has a double machine gun setup, and then the 20mm combo turret in the back is another 240. So 240, 240, and 120 is 600 damage per second. Again, we did rough math off of the B-32 for about 300 damage per second, 600 damage per second here. Again, this is actually going a little bit above the standard 50%, but not by a huge margin. Now, in the lower hemisphere, it's more like 480 damage per second, which is still pretty nasty, but I think we can agree that across the board, attacking any of these bombers and being behind and above is the worst position you can be when it comes to their capability to get their tail gunners and dorsal gunners on target. So if you are trying to counter these aircraft, highly advise coming at them from the side or below or even the front. And if you got something like air-to-air rockets like on a ME-262, I think you'll find that you can probably take these out fairly effectively. We'll talk more about the meta and how to counter these aircraft and why they might be such a challenge for everybody. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and take the legendary B-29 out, and we'll talk through some of the gameplay. Alright, so here we are in a battle, and as you can see, we are in a tier 9 fight. So this will be a little bit interesting going up against a enemy bomber aircraft as well as a human-controlled F-2H. We're probably going to have a bit of a rough time. We do have another human here in a 288C as well as a 1056. Any other humans? Oh, they also had a Doe 335. Yeah, so I got an uphill battle going for me here. I'm going to make a beeline for the mine. Well, I shouldn't say beeline. I'm going to try and go for the mine as quickly as possible. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Getting lower in a bomber like this, I think, is the most effective way to keep the spread relatively controlled. And because I want to make sure I get these on all of these in the priority targets, these bigger sites, we're doing a nice slow arc. And there we go, the tail end of the last two bombs is gone. Tail gunner's on target. Let's pitch up to get the tail gunner and the dorsal gunners on target. And with our ally, we're able to take that guy out fairly quickly. Whew, still taking some random flak here. This aircraft has a ton of HP on it, especially with the build that I have. It's probably a bit of overkill because we are looking at over 3,000 hit points. That Doe might actually be a good target for us. Let's try and get in here as quick as possible and bombs out. Oh no, they beat us to it. Shoot. Maybe I can get another target here. We got a really long reload. This is going to be tough to counter. Is anybody on me here? There's the 288. Or, sorry, Sniper Son and the 287. Sniper Son! What up, man? What up? Let's get guns on, see if we can get nasty with the tail gunner here. Got the dorsal gunner up. Look at this firepower combined with our heavy. Yes, we got him. We must have burned him out in the zone too, nonetheless. Now we've got another bomber up high. Whew, no wonder he was in here so quick. We got 20 seconds and we picked it up. Whew. 15 seconds till bomb loads back up. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the cooler while we're waiting and just let myself coast without hitting the boost to get ourselves as close as we can back up to that 60 seconds of boost. And I'm just going to be in airborne battle management here. F2 and all the most dangerous aircraft, in my opinion. They're going to prevent me from keeping this mine in my control as long as possible. There's a human-controlled bomber. We are staying at a bit of a higher altitude right now because I don't want to give this guy an easy kill. I'm kind of hoping that he'll vector in on me. It looks like we may have a taker here. Is he coming? There he is. Let's get that 20 on target. Pitching up the nose. There we go. We're going to take a lot of fire here. We're probably not going to survive. We're going to hit the boost a little bit, maneuver the rudder and the pitch at the same time. Can we make this guy's life difficult? We took out the pilot, and you can easily see we did a lion's share of the damage there. Our folks picked up the central site, and we are stalling out hard. Let's go ahead and dip the nose. Try and get back some airspeed. Of course, Sniper Son picked up the zone here. I'm going to try and get around so I can get my tail gunner on target for this bad guy right here. And Sniper Son is probably going to live through this. Alright. Let's get a good angle here so we can do a solid drop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bombs out. Oh, that's a little bit wide on that pass there. Throttle up, throttle up, throttle up. Get these bombs here. And that was all of that set. Let's pitch up. I don't want to die here in the flak. Try and get that passive regen going. Don't want to be contributing to the loss of the zone here. We want to capture the zone. Come on, passive regen. Help me out here. Oh, jeez. Okay, roll out, roll out, roll out. Wings damaged. Okay, let's see if we can do some blind drops here. There we go. We missed part of this site right here, and zone is captured. Whew! Can't say that's easy. We'll probably be better off dipping the nose and dying here, but I am not that type of player, so we're going to go for the passive regen and start heading towards the garrison in the back over here. Whew! We've done some pretty good work here. Oh, no wonder the F2H is actually paired up with them as well. He coming for me? Oh, there he is, Sniper Son. Am I going to be an offensive bomber again? Let's see what we can do here. He's got a bit more hit points than me. Oh, shoot. He's in front of me.
Our airfield is under enemy control. We need to retake the initiative.
Get the crits, get the crits. We got his pilot. And he's down. Whew. Rough go of it, rough go. Let's get somebody on target for that guy. And there's a heavy here. Gonna try to mess with me. Try to get out of the zone for this engagement. I don't need to give him an easy grab.
We've had to yield the plant to the enemy. Regroup and reclaim it.
Alright, where's he at? Where's he at? I'm a little bit worried about the light fighter.
Receiving reports about rapidly
Is he vectored on me? I think he is. We're gonna slam on the brakes here. Hop into the tail gunner position. Start pitching up just a little bit. He's getting those guns on me here. He wants to come back where he can control the engagement, which totally makes sense to me. Bringing that nose back around. Catching some flak. And we've got a light fighter inbound. Okay, where are we at? P1621. Nice, we picked him up. But we've missed our bombing pass here, so we'll have to come back around. The F2H is gone. Can we get the bombs off here? Alright, and drop. Not my most effective drop here.
The enemy has control of all key objects. You cannot.
And we actually missed something. Shoot.
Step it up. We're losing the battle.
We're in trouble. Here comes the heavy. Good timing on his part. 262. What did I say, guys? He actually switched aircraft from the DO 335. We'll throw up the GG. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Those rockets were the thing that really kept him at play. And he was able to take us out fairly effectively. Not sure where some of my other friendlies were, but I think there was an accurate showing of what the B-29 can do and how you would counter the aircraft. I understand we were bottom tier, but I think 13,000 personal points is nothing to look down upon. I think it's a pretty solid score. But with that said, we were out-tiered. We were out-tiered, and we still managed to put up some really good numbers. And I was able to take out a bomber with my turret guns against a tier 9 nasty German bomber. Good job to you, Sniper Son. That was a very solid run. Obviously, 16,000 personal points. He is shaping up to be a very strong bomber pilot. And we were actually able to take the sector twice, as well as be able to take that original garrison and achieve 380 capture points. Again, not my best showing, but you can see how nasty the guns can be with the amount of damage we're able to do to aerial targets, totaling nearly 2,000 damage. And that's with going up against quite a few heavy aircraft as well. So there you are, the B-29C. Is it game breaking? No, I don't think it is, but I do think it forces you to fly certain aircraft. There it is. Had to switch to a plane to keep me from capping again, and totally fair move on his part. So, is this breaking the game? I don't think bombers break the game. I think what's breaking the game is that if you don't have good population density and you want to fly a light fighter, a turn fighter, even an altitude fighter or a multi-role, if someone is in a B-29 or any other bomber for that matter, you're going to struggle to counter that aircraft. So it almost forces you to fly a multi-role that can get up high and go fast, or a heavy fighter in order to counter these things. If you don't fly those aircraft, you're going to find yourself struggling to maintain capture at the same rate, or you'd have to have a very solid air-to-ground player on your team as well, either a ground attacker or a bomber. The thing is, bombers operate at that altitude threshold where you essentially need to have something dedicated to go after them, while a ground attacker can theoretically be taken out by anybody because they're usually fairly slow and they're flying at low altitude, so everything can get at them. So in the end, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think bombers are breaking the game. I think it's the lack of player density that makes it so you're almost forced to fly something to counter these aircraft. And a prime example of that was der Übermensch. I think I'm saying that right. They had to switch to a 262 to be able to counter me with those air-to-air rockets, and they definitely achieved that against us. So while this is a loss, it plays in directly to what I was talking about before, is that you can counter these, you just have to plan properly. He was approaching me from the stern, but it's hard to not approach from the stern unless you plan your approach properly. And honestly, the timing for that last attack run couldn't have been better on his part. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.